Emily stared at the doll. It was a gift from her Grandma Rose. Grandma Rose gave strange gifts. This doll was the strangest.
It was old, really old. The porcelain skin was cracked in places. The doll wore a faded blue dress and had rosy cheeks. Its eyes were wide open, staring.
"She's beautiful," Grandma Rose had said. Her voice was raspy like dry leaves. Emily wanted to like the doll, but something about it made her uneasy. Emily put the doll on a shelf in her room. She tried not to look at it, but the doll's eyes seemed to follow her everywhere.
At night, I could have sworn I heard soft whispers coming from the doll. But when I turned on the light, the doll was always silent, still.
One Friday night, Emily's friends came over for a sleepover. They were excited to spend the night and tell scary stories. Nobody noticed the doll watching them, except Emily. She couldn't shake the feeling that the doll was listening to everything they said. The girls huddled together in Emily's room. Sleeping bags covered the floor. A flashlight cast eerie shadows on the walls.
"Let's tell ghost stories," whispered Chloe. Chloe loved scary stories.
"I heard a real ghost story," said Mia. "It happened right here in this town. A girl named Sarah kept a diary. Then she disappeared. No one ever found her."
I shivered. I felt a cold draft, even though the window was closed. The doll on the shelf seemed to be leaning forward, as if listening to our conversation.
The girls told scary stories late into the night. Emily tried to focus on the stories, but she couldn't stop thinking about the doll.
Suddenly we heard it, a faint whisper. It seemed to come from the corner of the room. We froze, our eyes wide with fear. The whisper came again. This time it was clearer. "Sarah," it whispered. "Find Sarah."
The girls screamed. They scrambled out of their sleeping bags and turned on the light.
"What was that?"
Chloe's voice trembled. The girls looked around the room. The doll was gone from the shelf.
"The doll, it's gone."
Emily felt a chill run down her spine. She knew somehow that the doll was involved, but how could a doll whisper?
"There it is on the floor."
They found the doll lying on the floor. Its porcelain face seemed to gleam in the darkness.
"Find Sarah."
The doll whispered again. Its voice was faint but unmistakable. Emily knew what they had to do. They had to find out who Sarah was, and what the doll had to do with her. The next morning, the girls went searching for clues. Emily's house was old. It had a dusty attic filled with forgotten things.
"Let's check the attic. Maybe we'll find something there."
The attic was dark and musty. Cobwebs hung from the rafters. Old furniture and boxes were piled everywhere. The girls coughed as they stirred up dust motes dancing in the faint light from a single window.
"Do you think Sarah lived here?"
Mia whispered. She was afraid to speak too loudly. It felt as if they were being watched. Emily found an old wooden chest tucked under the eaves. It was locked, but the lock was rusty and old. With a little jiggling, it popped open. Inside the chest, they found a small, leather-bound diary. It was hidden beneath layers of old, forgotten items, as if it had been waiting to be discovered for years. The pages were yellowed with age, each one fragile and delicate to the touch. They seemed to whisper stories of the past, tales long forgotten. The ink was faded, but they could still make out the words. The handwriting was elegant, yet shaky, as if written by a young girl with a lot on her mind.
This diary belonged to Sarah. Her name was written in neat cursive on the first page, a testament to her ownership and the beginning of her story.
She read aloud, her voice trembling with excitement and a hint of fear. The words seemed to come alive as they echoed in the quiet room.
July 10th, 1904. The date marked the beginning of Sarah's entries, a window into her world over a century ago. Grandma Rose gave me a doll today. It was a special gift, one that Sarah cherished deeply. It's beautiful, with a blue dress and rosy cheeks. The doll was exquisitely crafted, with intricate details that made it look almost lifelike. But its eyes are strange. They seem to hold a mysterious, almost eerie quality. They seem to follow me everywhere. No matter where Sarah went, she felt the doll's gaze upon her, watching her every move.
The girls huddled closer, their eyes glued to the page. Emily continued reading, her voice steady despite the growing tension in the room.
July 12th, 1904. Another entry, another glimpse into Sarah's life. I hear the doll whispering my name at night. The words sent a shiver down Emily's spine as she read them aloud. I think it's trying to tell me something. Sarah's confusion and fear were palpable in her writing, but I don't know what. The mystery of the doll's intentions haunted Sarah, just as it now haunted the girls reading her diary.
The hairs on the back of Emily's neck stood on end. The diary's words had a chilling effect, making the room feel colder. Sarah's words sent chills down her spine. It was as if Sarah's fear had transcended time, reaching out to them from the past. It was as if the diary held the key to the doll's secrets. The girls knew they had to keep reading, to uncover the truth hidden within its pages. Section 8, The Truth Revealed. This chapter delves into the mysterious and eerie events that unfolded in the small town of Ravenswood. Emily turned the brittle pages of the diary, her fingers trembling slightly as she uncovered the secrets hidden within. Each entry was filled with Sarah's growing fear and confusion. The handwriting grew more frantic with each passing day, reflecting the turmoil within her mind. The doll was speaking to her, urging her to follow it. Its sinister expression seemed to come alive in Sarah's descriptions, making Emily's skin crawl.
July 15th, 1904. The doll told me to meet her in the garden. She said she has a secret to show me. I'm scared, but I have to go. I have to know what she wants. Emily could almost hear Sarah's voice, trembling with fear yet laced with a strange determination. The words seemed to leap off the page, pulling Emily deeper into the mystery that had consumed Sarah. Emily's heart raced as she imagined Sarah's fear, and the courage it took to follow the doll's eerie instructions. She could feel Sarah's determination, a burning need to uncover the truth despite the terror that gripped her.
That was the last entry in the diary. The abrupt end left a chilling silence in the room. Emily closed it slowly, her heart pounding in her chest. The weight of the diary's secrets pressed heavily on her mind. What had happened to Sarah? The question echoed in her mind, refusing to be silenced. Had she gone to meet the doll in the garden? The thought sent a shiver down Emily's spine. And what had become of her? The garden, now overgrown and abandoned, seemed to hold the answers. The girls looked at each other, their faces pale. They knew the answer. The legend of the doll had been passed down through generations, a warning to all who dared to listen. They could feel it in their bones. The truth was out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered. Section 9, Unsettling Discoveries. The girls ran downstairs, their footsteps loud in the old house, and rushed into the garden. Their hearts were beating fast with fear and urgency. It was a bright, sunny day, usually full of joy and laughter. But today there was a feeling of dread, making the garden seem dark and scary. They searched everywhere, looking in every corner, every bush, and every tree for any sign of Sarah. The garden, once a place of fun, now felt like a scary maze. Under an old oak tree with its twisted branches, they found something that made their hearts skip a beat. A small wooden box, partly buried in the soil, its edges worn and old. Seeing it gave them chills. Trembling, Emily knelt down and opened the box with shaking hands. The weight was almost too much to bear. Inside, on a bed of faded velvet, was a doll. But this was no ordinary doll. It seemed to have an eerie presence. The doll had changed. What might have been a child's toy now looked different. Its porcelain face was cracked and broken, as if it had been through a lot. The cracks formed a web of mystery and sadness. Its once bright eyes, which might have sparkled with joy, were now dull and lifeless. They seemed to hold dark secrets. And in its tiny porcelain hand was a tarnished silver locket. The locket seemed to hold a hidden story waiting to be found.
Emily carefully took the locket from the doll's hand, her fingers shaking with fear and curiosity. What could this locket reveal? Inside, she found a tiny photograph of a young girl with wide, innocent eyes. The realization hit her hard. Sarah. The photograph was of Sarah, the girl they had been looking for. The mystery deepened, and the unsettling discoveries had only just begun.
Section 10, Lingering Fear. Emily and her friends never spoke of that day again. They couldn't bring themselves to tell anyone what they had found. The diary and the locket were safely tucked away, hidden in the back of Emily's closet. But sometimes, late at night when the house was quiet, Emily thought she could hear the faint whisper of a voice calling her name, and she would pull her blankets tight, afraid to open her eyes, afraid of what she might see. The doll was back on her shelf, its glassy eyes staring blankly into the darkness, watching, waiting. Section 11, The Watching Eyes. Emily knew the doll was more than just a toy. It was a vessel, a conduit to a past shrouded in mystery and sorrow, and she couldn't shake the feeling that its story wasn't over yet. As the years passed, she never forgot the events of that summer. The whispering doll, the hidden diary, the lost girl named Sarah. They remained etched in her memory, a chilling reminder that some secrets are best left buried, and somewhere, hidden within the walls of the old house, the doll watched and waited, its porcelain face frozen in a perpetual state of eerie silence. Its secrets, like the whispers of ghosts, lingered in the shadows, waiting to be discovered.